Have you ever met a woman, felt an instant spark, but no matter what you did, the connection just didn't stick? You thought you were doing everything right, texting, complimenting, showing interest, but somehow she lost interest. It happens more often than men realize, and the reason isn't what you think. Attraction isn't about effort alone, it's about psychology, timing, and presence. Welcome to the channel. This is the place for men who are tired of confusion, mixed signals, and dating that feels like a guessing game. Here we cut through the noise and teach principles that actually work. Modern, practical, and grounded in psychology and stoicism. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about control, clarity, and strength. It's about mastering yourself so that attraction happens naturally without chasing, over-explaining, or losing your energy. Women notice more than words. They notice how you carry yourself under pressure, uncertainty, and tension. They respond to stability, confidence, and self-mastery, far more than charm, compliments, or persuasion. In this video, we'll cover psychological strategies rooted in human behavior and stoic principles. These are not tricks to manipulate. They're insights into how attraction works and how to align yourself with it. Each section is designed to be clear, actionable, and immediately usable in real-life interactions. By the end of this video, you'll know how to project presence, control emotional energy, maintain boundaries, and use stoic principles to naturally draw women toward you. You'll stop chasing reactions and start creating interactions that feel effortless, magnetic, and high value. Stay with me until the end because the final section ties everything together and shows how to integrate all these principles into your daily life. Miss it and you'll lose the power of the earlier lessons. Don't forget to click the subscribe and like button. Let's dive in. 1. Emotional control. Have you ever noticed how some men seem to attract women effortlessly while others panic at the slightest hesitation? The difference isn't looks, money, or charm. It's emotional control. Stoicism teaches that your power comes from mastering your reactions, not forcing outcomes. Emotional control and attraction is exactly that. Staying grounded, composed, and deliberate, no matter what signals a woman sends. Women are highly sensitive to shifts in energy. A man who overreacts to a late text, a change in plans, or a small disagreement immediately loses attraction. Why? Because unpredictability triggers uncertainty and emotional instability communicates neediness. When your mood swings based on her behavior, it signals dependence, not strength. Control doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means observing them without letting them dictate action. A man can feel frustration, disappointment, or excitement internally, but he doesn't act impulsively. He responds with calm purpose and awareness. That measured presence communicates stability, which is magnetic. One way to practice emotional control is through pacing. Don't rush responses, explanations, or commitments. If she's slow to reply, don't flood her with messages. Let your timing be deliberate. When you engage, be fully present. When you step back, do so confidently. This rhythm creates natural tension and curiosity. Another key aspect is detachment from outcomes. Men who are overly invested in getting a specific reaction often overcompensate with attention, explanations, or over-the-top gestures. Stoicism teaches that your worth isn't tied to external validation. A controlled man interacts without desperation, without expectation, and without trying to win approval. That sense of self-possession draws women effortlessly. Body language also signals control. Standing tall, maintaining eye contact, and moving deliberately communicates internal steadiness. Your energy should say, I'm here, I'm aware, and I'm composed, rather than, please notice me, please like me. Women pick up on this subconsciously. Emotional control also protects your time and energy. A man who panics at minor setbacks or tests drains himself emotionally, making interactions exhausting for both parties. A stoic approach allows you to maintain energy, boundaries, and clarity, which makes your presence feel rare and valuable. Finally, control is reinforced by self-discipline. Men who structure their lives, stick to routines, and pursue meaningful goals naturally embody composure. When your life has direction and stability, women sense it. Your internal control becomes external magnetism. Mastering emotional control isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to project stability and presence, not desperation or need. Women respond to men who navigate uncertainty calmly, who don't collapse when plans change, and who remain grounded regardless of her signals. In modern dating, emotional control is the foundation. Without it, other strategies, attention management, boundaries, scarcity, fail. With it, attraction flows naturally, tension builds, and you command respect effortlessly. Emotional control is the stoic advantage every man can use to become magnetic. 2. Value through action. Have you ever noticed that words alone rarely create lasting attraction? Compliments, charm, or clever lines might get attention, but they don't generate real respect or desire. What women notice and respond to is demonstrated value. Actions speak louder than words, and in modern dating, a man who embodies value through behavior becomes magnetic. Stoicism reinforces this. Character is revealed through deeds, not talk. Value through action starts with your lifestyle. Are you disciplined? Do you have goals, routines, and responsibilities you take seriously? A man who invests in himself signals self-respect and purpose. Women feel this immediately. They don't need to know every detail of your day. They sense the energy and direction behind it. Presence and momentum communicate value far more than explanations or justification ever could. Another layer is follow-through. Promises, plans, and commitments matter. A man who consistently does what he says demonstrates reliability, integrity, and stability. Conversely, men who overpromise or fail to act erode trust, even if unintentionally. Women are naturally attracted to men whose energy is dependable. Actions create credibility, which words alone cannot. Stoicism teaches detachment from outcomes, but it also emphasizes responsibility. Value through action isn't about proving yourself to others, it's about proving yourself to yourself. When you live intentionally, cultivate skills, and maintain standards, your presence carries authority. Women sense this authority subconsciously. It's a quiet magnetism, not a performance. Decision-making is another form of demonstrated value. A man who decides with confidence, sets boundaries, and chooses direction in his life communicates leadership without arrogance. Women are drawn to decisiveness because it signals competence, independence, and emotional strength. Indecision or constant questioning, on the other hand, signals dependency and need. Actions also include the way you manage your interactions. Are you attentive but not overbearing? Do you maintain your energy, boundaries, and composure? Do you engage fully when present, then allow space without guilt? These small repeated behaviors reinforce your value consistently. Women notice the rhythm and pattern of your conduct more than any individual moment. Physical presence is part of action too. How you carry yourself, posture, tone, gestures, pace, signals internal discipline. A man who moves deliberately and confidently projects competence and control. Stoic principles emphasize alignment between internal and external states. When your internal value matches your outward energy, attraction becomes natural and effortless. Finally, value through action creates scarcity. When your time, attention, and energy are not endlessly available, every engagement feels meaningful. Women sense this and respond with deeper curiosity and investment. Your energy is the currency. Use it wisely. In short, demonstrating value through action means living intentionally, following through, maintaining composure, and aligning behavior with character. Words can catch attention. Actions create respect and desire. Master this principle and attraction flows naturally. Tension builds and your presence becomes magnetic. 3. Indifference triggers curiosity. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to what they can't fully grasp? Indifference isn't about being cold or rude. It's about maintaining composure, self-possession, and emotional balance. Stoicism teaches that your inner peace cannot depend on others' reactions. And this principle is magnetic in modern dating. Women notice when a man isn't desperate for approval or validation. That subtle indifference triggers curiosity, respect, and attraction. Indifference is not detachment from life. It's control over your responses. A man who doesn't overreact to a late text, a cancellation, or a minor challenge signals confidence. He doesn't need constant reassurance. He doesn't chase approval. This lack of dependency naturally piques interest because women are wired to notice men who can maintain their composure regardless of circumstances. Most men fail here without realizing it. They respond immediately, overexed or overexplain, trying to maintain connection or avoid losing favor. This behavior communicates neediness, which kills tension and undermines attraction. Indifference, when executed correctly, creates contrast. It introduces a dynamic where your presence becomes noticeable and valued because it's not guaranteed. Psychologically, humans are drawn to what feels uncertain but safe. By maintaining emotional neutrality while engaging authentically, you create that balance. Women sense the stability beneath the surface and feel compelled to invest emotionally because they are curious about your depth, consistency, and energy. Indifference also works in conversation. You don't have to agree with everything, overreact to minor disagreements, or try to impress constantly. Instead, focus on sharing your perspective calmly, responding thoughtfully, and not needing her validation for every statement. This communicates self-respect and internal security. Actions reinforce indifference. If she cancels plans or pushes boundaries slightly, respond with measured composure. Adapt when necessary, but do not compromise your standards. Stoic principles highlight that external events are neutral. It's your perception and response that create power. By not allowing small shifts to control your mood or behavior, you project strength and reliability. Another aspect is availability. Indifference doesn't mean ignoring someone. It means being fully present when you engage, but not overextending. Overavailability reduces perceived value. Selective attention and energy combined with calm engagement naturally draw curiosity because your time feels meaningful and scarce. Indifference also communicates that you are emotionally independent. Women are drawn to men whose confidence and stability are not contingent on external factors. This doesn't make you cold or disconnected. It makes you grounded, reliable, and intriguing. People are naturally attracted to what feels substantial, yet enigmatic. Finally, indifference allows tension to build naturally. It gives interactions space to breathe. Emotional investment grows when interest isn't forced. Curiosity peaks when a man's energy is consistent, confident, and composed, but not predictable in trivial ways. Mastering indifference is mastering curiosity. It's about balancing engagement with emotional neutrality, creating tension without drama, and allowing women to invest while you remain grounded. When done well, attraction becomes effortless because it's built on perception of value, stability, and composure. 4. Silence is power. Have you ever noticed how some men don't need to say much, yet women are drawn to them effortlessly? That's the power of silence. Silence isn't emptiness or avoidance. It's a tool to communicate confidence, presence, and emotional strength. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from self-mastery, not from constant verbal validation. And silence is one of the most underrated ways to demonstrate it. Many men make the mistake of over-explaining themselves, filling every pause with words or emojis to keep attention. They believe that talking constantly builds connection. In reality, excessive chatter often signals insecurity. Silence used strategically creates space for curiosity, reflection, and emotional pull. It's a subtle yet powerful way to shift dynamics in your favor. Silence works in multiple ways. First, it communicates composure. When a woman tests boundaries, teases, or challenges, a calm pause before responding signals confidence. It shows you're not reactive, that your energy isn't controlled by external events, and that you can handle unpredictability with ease. This restraint is magnetic because it contrasts with the nervous energy most men display. Second, silence builds curiosity. Humans are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. By not revealing everything at once, your plans, your feelings, or your reactions, you create a sense of mystery. This is not manipulation. It's about maintaining emotional independence while allowing her to invest mentally and emotionally in the interaction. Another layer is emotional regulation. Silence gives you time to process rather than react impulsively. Instead of responding to a teasing comment with defensiveness, a well-timed pause allows you to choose a composed, intentional reply. This demonstrates stoic mastery and subtly communicates that your emotions are under control. Women notice these small cues, even subconsciously. Silence also protects your energy. When you over-engage, you risk depleting your presence and making interactions exhausting. By speaking only when it adds value, you maintain high-quality energy that is rare and noticeable. Your words become meaningful and your presence becomes magnetic. Strategic silence applies to text and digital communication as well. Delayed responses are not about playing games. They're about maintaining balance and boundaries. Constant availability reduces perceived value, while thoughtful, measured engagement creates tension and anticipation. Silence in this context communicates self-possession and internal focus. Physical presence is another form of silence. Calm body language, steady eye contact, and measured gestures communicate confidence without words. A man who doesn't need to fill every moment with speech conveys that his presence alone carries weight. Women are drawn to men whose energy is stable and grounded. Finally, silence encourages emotional investment. By not over-explaining, you allow her to fill in the gaps, wonder, and mentally engage. When she feels curious, the interaction becomes more dynamic and memorable. Mastering silence is mastering power. It's about knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to let presence do the talking. Combine silence with emotional control, value through action and indifference, and attraction becomes effortless, natural, and magnetic. 5. Predictable calm. Have you ever met a man who seems unshakable no matter what life throws at him? A man who doesn't overreact to small stresses, cancellations, or teasing, and somehow women are drawn to him without him doing much at all. That's predictable calm, a stoic quality that communicates stability, reliability, and value. And it's one of the most powerful tools in attraction. Predictable calm doesn't mean boring or passive. It means maintaining composure while life and interactions move around you. Women notice energy more than words. A man who stays steady during minor conflicts, playful tests, or unexpected changes signals that he's grounded, trustworthy, and capable. That calmness creates safety, which is magnetic. Most men unknowingly destroy attraction by being emotionally volatile. They overreact to late replies, sudden changes, or small disagreements. They panic, over-explain, or flood attention. This volatility communicates instability and neediness. Predictable calm, in contrast, communicates that your internal state isn't dependent on external events. You are the anchor in the interaction. Stoicism teaches that external events are neutral. It's your judgment of them that creates disturbance. In dating, this principle is golden. A woman might test your patience, tease, or challenge you subtly. How you respond, or more importantly, how you don't overreact, reveals your emotional maturity. Calm responses make you appear competent, confident, and high value without having to say a word. Predictable calm also signals reliability. Women are attracted to men whose energy is consistent because it creates a sense of trust. When she knows your reactions are measured, your mood stable, and your boundaries respected, she can relax emotionally around you. That emotional ease naturally deepens connection and curiosity. Another key element is tone and body language. Calm speech, controlled gestures, steady posture, and unhurried movement all reinforce emotional stability. These subtle cues are processed subconsciously. Women pick up on them immediately, and they communicate far more than any line, compliment, or explanation could. Predictable calm extends to communication outside of face-to-face interactions as well. Thoughtful responses, measured timing, and avoidance of reactive texts or messages signal self-possession. It's not about playing games, it's about maintaining presence and control. Women respect and are drawn to men who manage their energy thoughtfully. Self-mastery in other areas of life reinforces calm. Men who are disciplined with routines, goals, and personal growth naturally exude stability. When your life has direction, women perceive your interactions as intentional rather than reactive. That alignment between internal control and external action is magnetic. Finally, predictable calm creates contrast. While most men panic or seek approval, you remain grounded. That contrast highlights value, tension, and attraction. Calm doesn't mean disengaged, it means composed, deliberate, and confident. Women notice, subconsciously respect, and naturally gravitate toward men who carry this energy. Mastering predictable calm allows you to navigate uncertainty, tension, and tests without losing composure. Combined with emotional control, value through action, indifference, and strategic silence, it positions you as someone women want to engage with, trust, and invest in emotionally. 6. Boundaries build respect. Have you ever noticed how some men are instantly respected without saying a word, while others struggle to be taken seriously? The difference often comes down to boundaries. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is non-negotiable, and this principle is one of the most powerful tools in attraction. Women are drawn to men who clearly define their limits and live by them. Boundaries aren't just rules, they're a reflection of your self-worth and discipline. Boundaries start with your time. A man who allows every message, invitation, or request to dominate his schedule communicates low value. Being constantly available signals that your life lacks structure or purpose. Conversely, men who protect their time for personal growth, work, hobbies, and friendships project independence and control. Women sense this immediately. It's magnetic because your presence has weight. Boundaries also apply to emotional energy. A man who absorbs every mood swing, criticism, or drama without discretion signals instability or neediness. A man who listens, responds thoughtfully, but does not overextend himself communicates balance. Emotional limits create comfort and trust. Women feel safe investing in someone who is steady, not someone who collapses under pressure. Physical boundaries are equally important. Respecting personal space, avoiding overfamiliar touch too soon, and reading nonverbal cues demonstrate respect and awareness. Overstepping these lines communicates desperation or entitlement, which erodes attraction. Conversely, a man who maintains composure and considers her comfort projects maturity and confidence. Boundaries also define your standards. Men who compromise on their values or tolerate disrespect to gain approval undermine attraction. Stoicism teaches that your principles must guide action, not emotions. By standing firm on your priorities and non-negotiables, you communicate integrity. Women are naturally drawn to men who have a clear sense of self and won't bend under pressure. Setting boundaries doesn't make you distant or rigid, it makes interactions smoother and more meaningful. When she knows that your time, energy, and attention are limited, she values it more. Scarcity becomes natural, not forced. Respect grows because you are consistent in your limits, and attraction deepens because tension and curiosity remain alive. Boundaries also prevent overinvestment. Men who give too much attention too soon or too freely often burn themselves out emotionally. By maintaining limits, you protect your energy while encouraging her to invest in the connection as well. This balance creates equality and reinforces your value. Finally, boundaries communicate control. A man who manages his life, emotions, and energy without apology is attractive because he signals internal mastery. He doesn't need external validation to define his worth. Women notice this, respect it, and are naturally drawn to it. Boundaries are a form of silent communication. They tell the world, I am in control of my life and I expect the same from others. Mastering boundaries is about clarity, consistency, and discipline. Combined with emotional control, strategic silence, predictable calm, and value through action, boundaries amplify every other principle of attraction. They transform interactions from chaotic and uncertain into structured, high-value connections. Women respond to men who respect themselves, and themselves are men who set and enforce boundaries consistently. 7. Self-mastery signals attraction. Have you ever met a man whose presence alone commanded attention, whose energy seemed magnetic without effort? That power comes from self-mastery. Stoicism teaches that control over oneself, mind, body, and emotions is the foundation of influence, respect, and attraction. Women notice a man who is disciplined, consistent, and intentional, and they respond instinctively to that energy. Self-mastery begins with your mind. A man who thinks clearly, manages emotions, and responds deliberately is far more attractive than one who reacts impulsively. Stoicism emphasizes that external events are neutral. It's your interpretation and reaction that matter. When you apply this principle in dating, you stop overreacting to small tests, teasing, or setbacks. Instead, you maintain composure, creating a sense of stability and confidence that women naturally gravitate toward. Discipline in daily life reinforces self-mastery. Men who follow routines, pursue goals, and cultivate skills signal competence and ambition. Women sense this even subconsciously. A man who invests in his growth communicates that he values himself, which makes his presence inherently valuable. It's not about bragging or showing off. It's about energy and focus that naturally draw others in. Physical mastery also plays a role. Taking care of your body, posture, and overall presentation signals self-respect. Movement, gestures, and voice tone convey inner discipline. A man who carries himself with purpose demonstrates self-possession. Women notice these subtle cues immediately, and they trigger both curiosity and attraction. Emotional mastery is another layer. Men who manage frustration, impatience, and desire without losing composure create a powerful magnetic energy. Stoicism teaches that emotional freedom comes from internal control, not external validation. A man who is steady, measured, and calm, even under tests or minor provocations, signals security, competence, and reliability. Women feel drawn to this energy because it creates safety and intrigue simultaneously. Self-mastery also shows in how you handle boundaries and scarcity. Men who protect their time, energy, and attention without apology are perceived as high value. By maintaining limits consistently, you communicate that your resources are precious, and this naturally builds respect and attraction. Women respond positively to men whose actions align with their principles because alignment communicates integrity and internal strength. Another aspect is purpose. Women are drawn to men who live intentionally. A man with vision, ambition, or a clear sense of direction communicates strength and leadership. Purpose makes interactions richer because it shows that your life has structure beyond the connection itself. This independence is attractive as it signals that your attention and energy are not freely given but shared selectively. Finally, self-mastery integrates all other principles. Emotional control, predictable calm, strategic silence, boundaries, indifference, and value through action. Each principle alone has power, but combined they create a man whose presence is magnetic, whose interactions are intentional, and whose attraction is effortless. Women sense it immediately, invest emotionally, and are drawn to him naturally. Mastering yourself is the ultimate form of attraction. It's not about tricks or manipulation. It's about internal alignment, discipline, and presence. When a man commands himself, he commands attention. And attraction follows naturally, consistently, and without force. Attraction isn't about games, lines, or forcing reactions. It's about mastery, emotional control, value through action, indifference, silence, predictable calm. Boundaries and self-mastery form the foundation of magnetic presence. When you live intentionally, protect your energy, and respond rather than react, women notice instinctively. Stoic principles guide this process, giving you composure, confidence, and internal strength that naturally draws interest. Apply these strategies consistently, and interactions become effortless, tension grows, and respect deepens. Master yourself first, and attraction follows. The man who controls himself is the man women can't help but notice.